Present.
Tony Hunt,
Here.
Michael Butcher,
Here.
Grace Clapper,
She's online.
Maddie Heikla, Steve Pumpkins.
Here.
Amy Turing,
Here.
and then Kyle Wilson. Here. Councilwoman Dixie Shepherd.
Here.
Shepherd.
I'm here.
What's that? Yeah, she should be a panelist instead of a. So, yeah, promote her. Grace, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yep.
So we are ready to call to order and.
All right. Good evening. My name is Jeff Smith. I'm chairperson of the Webster Groves Plan Commission. We are a 9-member board of citizens appointed by the city council to review development proposals and make recommendations to the city council regarding future development of the city. In addition to the members of the Plan Commission participating in person or via teleconference, we have a few other representatives of the city I'd like to introduce. Councilmember Hickson Shepherd, our staff attorney is not here, and planning and city planner, Joel Pugh. I would like to welcome you all to tonight's monthly meeting of the commission and take this opportunity to explain how we operate. As indicated in our agenda, we will begin with the regular session of the meeting when we will hear new applications for rezoning or subdivisions. We will hear a staff report and the applicant will explain the proposal. We will then ask for comments from the public. At that time, anyone with an interest in the proposal may indicate to city staff they have a question or would like to express their opinion by clicking on the Zoom or raise hand feature in Zoom. To make sure that we accurately record your name, we ask that you identify your full name and address at the beginning of your comment. When you make your comments, we ask you to be as concise as possible and not repeat a point made by a previous speaker. We also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. One person who is a spokesperson for an organization may have 6 minutes to comment. After all citizens have spoken, the applicant will be asked to respond to any questions that have been raised during the hearing. When we have finished reviewing one proposal, we will move on to the next application. Comments concerning items not on the agenda should be made during the public comments section of the agenda near the beginning of the meeting. When we have completed the regular portion of the agenda, we will go into executive session. At that time, the commission will discuss the proposal and may decide to vote on the application or to postpone the decision. You are welcome to remain and listen to the discussion, but there will be no additional opportunity for public comment at that time. Our recommendations are sent to City Council. In most cases, the City Council will conduct a similar hearing and must enact an ordinance before the proposal is finally approved. If the Plan Commission takes a vote tonight, the Council will likely take up this issue at its first meeting next month. If you want information regarding our vote or the progress of the application, you may contact staff at City Hall. I would ask that Acting Secretary read the first item for tonight's regular meeting.
Yes, I'd like to call for the approval of the minutes from November 4th, 2024.
Any comments?
I noticed, ought to be used to by now, but my name's spelled wrong where it shows up. And on page 15 toward the top, your name is spelled wrong.
Okay.
So on at least page 12, 14 and 15, my name's spelled wrong. And at the top 15, it's Jeff Smith, not Jeff Smith. Other than that, I have no comments.
Were these minutes seemed like they were almost generated by AI or something? Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Could you look
Like I said,
could you
I'll
look
be
into
used to
that
this.
because yeah, this is a change in what we're seeing. The language is kind of choppy, and so if you could figure out how are minutes being taken this evening? Okay. Okay. All right. So everyone turn on your microphones when you're speaking. Okay, we had a few comments on spelling of names. Anything else?
I'll move to approve if there's nothing else.
The second.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed. All right, minutes are approved. Next item.
A public hearing 24 PC 09 8045 Watson Road.
Public comment?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry, okay.
Is there any public comment?
Yeah,
Not
second- yeah.
related to the, not related to the petitions tonight? Are there any public comments not related to the petitions that we have tonight
On the agenda.
on the agenda?
You guys want to speak on the agenda on, okay, all right.
Okay.
Then you'll get an opportunity in a minute. Yeah, but
Yep.
this is for anything else. Okay.
Okay, I'm
Next.
sorry, all right. Public hearing for 24 PC 09 8045 Watson Road, Yorkshire Village Properties, an application by Desiree McFadden for a conditional use permit to operate a banquet facility use in an existing multi-tenant commercial center located on a 3.27 acre parcel in the C Commercial District.
So, back and forth with this, and forgive me if I do what I had written, so.
Can you move closer to the mic, please?
Talk to the mic. Just can't hear.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I was gonna say, I think the mics are labeled by chair.
Oh.
It's fine.
This is better.
Just the camera focuses on
Yeah.
that microphone. But
Okay.
It should be fine. The camera looks good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So Desiree McFadden filed a petition for conditional use permit to operate an event space banquet facility located in an existing structure at 8045 Watson. Subject property is located in the C Commercial District. Storefront. The storefront would use approximately 5,108 square feet of the shopping center on an approximately 3.28 acre tract of land. If you've seen, there's a very large shopping center, and so the actual space you'll be using is the 5,000 square foot space. So I just want to make sure that's clear. All right, the requested action is that the City Plan Commission is requested to review the application for conditional use permit to make a recommendation to City Council. Public hearing before the City Council is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, February 4th, 2024, depending obviously how this evening goes. All right, land use and zoning and history of the subject site. 8045 Watson Road is a tenant space in the westernmost building of Yorkshire Plaza, which is zoned C Commercial District. The building is the 1.18 acre tract, was built in 1955. Expansion of the development to the east in the late 1950s and 1960s has resulted in the current configuration of the Yorkshire Plaza Shopping Center. So that kind of bend it has. The building was renovated with major interior and exterior improvements in 2007, and the entire shopping center was completed in a restoration and upgrade of the parking lot in 2008. Currently, the building is owned by Yorkshire Village Properties, LLC, and resides in the Yorkshire Plaza Business District. The following are additional zoning regulations approved for the development, some of which are no longer applicable.
Can we, do we need to read all of them?
I was just about to say, I'm not going to read all of them. They should.
If we
look in
have
front
any
of you.
questions, we'll point it
Yeah.
out.
All right. So then dropping down to kind of the surrounding properties and land use. The property is set in an existing commercial neighborhood near the intersection of State Arterial Road. So where Watson Road comes down and then, where Laclede comes down heading south or north. And then Watson heads from like northeast and then does the bend to heading south. The properties to the north of this parcel and west are zoned as A4, 7,500 square foot residence. So they're residential properties to the north of it. And then to the south of it is actually the city of Marlborough. So it just is in between Marlborough and residential. I tried to demonstrate that in the picture. All right, so comprehensive plan analysis identifies the subject site as being within an area designated as commercial. So the current development plan maps were adopted in 2006 and also identifies the area as commercial. The proposed use of a bank facility is consistent with the commercial use as designation identified. All right, so this is the staff analysis. So for zoning, the C Commercial District regulations are contained within section 53.110. The regulations set forth in this section are set forth elsewhere in the zoning code, when referred to this section are the regulations in the C commercial district. So because it is a banquet facility or an event space, the use is conditional use under the C district, the commercial district. The requested use is further regulated by City Code Section 53-800 and specifically 53-804, which pertain to changes and amendments to conditional use permits. So per 53, Section 53.173A, the council shall determine whether the requested use will not, this is the part where you guys need to decide if it will, 1, not substantially increase traffic hazard or congestion, 2, substantially increase fire hazard, 3, adversely affect the character of the neighborhood, or adversely affect the general welfare of the community, or 5, overtax public utilities. The application for conditional use permit shall be denied if the council finds that the applicant has failed to carry its burden of proof with regard to any of the factors set forth above. The uses, the applicant is seeking to have, oh yeah, go ahead.
Trying to read the caption, got away from me. What'd you say about the burden of proof?
He's reading the.
Yeah, so
He's
if you
reading
guys
that.
decide that it doesn't meet any of the 5 items above, do you have the right page?
He's just reading through the agenda. It's just the 5 factors.
Okay. Now you got that's fine.
All right. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so they're seeking to have the space for various events, but not limited to weddings, receptions, showers, intimate parties, repasts, proposals, and holiday family gatherings. Such a use would fall under an event space, which is banquet facility, which is defined as a facility for hire, providing food, service, or entertainment. The current zoning for the property is commercial and governed by the sections stated prior. Under these sections, the city code, the banquet facility is permitted to use with a conditional use permit, which is why we're here today. Property was previously occupied in the past by other retail uses, most recently an MMA dojo. So, there you go. Parking. So per section 53.112, off-street parking and loading requirements and setbacks for parking areas. Loading spaces and internal drives are set forth in section 53.180 of the City of Webster Code. The minimum number of off-street parking space required for permitted conditional use are found in a table, which is in the section 53.186. The parking in the Yorkshire Plaza District is typically handled as a shared parking situation with several off-street parking spots, approximately 175 for the parcel. I counted, so I literally zoomed in and counted those, and that are in front of that specific parcel. So the whole shopping center obviously has more parking than that. It wraps around it, but I wanted to make sure that the parking was focused for what would realistically be used for that business. As such, with the number of parking spots available, the expected occupancy at any given moment cannot exceed approximately 520 people, including those working. Obviously, that is an extremely high amount, and that would be if she uses every single parking spot available, which is not likely, but given that it is a shared parking spot, or not realistic, I guess. The city has adopted parking codes for all uses allowed within the city. The table below identifies the amount of parking required per the proposed uses. So at the maximum shift, she expects to have 2 employees. For 2 spaces for every 3 employees, then it would be just 2 spaces because she just falls under that 3 employees for the shift. She expects that realistically she will have at most 225 standing in terms of occupants and 250 sitting. At 1 space for every 3 seats, the conservative is, well, you're between 75 to 83 spaces required, 85 being the most conservative. That being said, her occupancy will be determined when they do the inspection. So this is just her expected occupancy. On most days, parking should not be an issue. However, on nights with event parking could pose a potential challenge depending on the size of the event. Traffic. The subject property is located at the intersection of Watson and Laclede. which has peak morning and evening through traffic for commuters. The transfer of the property from one business to another is not expected to have a significant impact on the existing traffic patterns. A traffic impact study is not warranted for this CUP request. Tree preservation and landscape, just to kind of be mindful of time. This is not needed because they're not changing anything of the space. The building's staying the same. Performance standards. In the C commercial zoning district, there are a series of performance standards to address concerns for uses within the district. Noise is the most important related to the adjacent residential. Per section 53.114B, the maximum volume of sound and noise generally cannot exceed 60 decibels at any point on the lot line of the lot of which use is located on Mondays through Fridays between 7 and 8 p.m. and on Saturdays between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. local time, and on Sundays between 9 and 7 p.m. local time. The maximum volume at any given time cannot exceed 55 decibels, which would be the most conservative, at any point from the lot line, which is located for all hours not listed above. The hours of operation, they are proposing to have an hours of operation between noon and midnight. So looking at some of the other businesses around, there is a couple other that are opened till midnight as well. Lighting and signage, all primary illumination would just be directed towards the Big Bend Boulevard, which is commercial, not towards the private to residential properties. Signs that project light in excess of illumination of 0.5 horizontal foot candles as measured from the property line shall be prohibited. Oh, sorry, you're right. It is not Big Bend. It is, yeah, Watson. It's Watson. Good catch. Sorry about that. All right, so here are the comments from the other departments. The police chiefs had the following comments. Parking with only 175 parking spots available, and that's assuming if they use every single one, and several business operating simultaneously, we foresee significant strain on the parking availability. This could adversely affect existing businesses and create logistical challenges for patrons. Uses, while the paperwork specifies the venue will host weddings and similar events, there is no guarantee it will not also be used for concerts or other high impact events. Such uses could escalate public safety demands and strain community resources. Proximity to hotspots, Hot Shots Bar and Grill located opposite the proposed facility has historically presented challenges. Adding another high traffic venue in close proximity could compound these issues, increasing the likelihood of disturbances. And noise. Weddings and similar events typically involve amplified music and alcohol, which may lead to increased noise level and disrupt the peace for nearby residents. The fire marshal had the following comments. Parking. We agree with the police department. As previously stated, with only 175 parking spots available and several businesses operating simultaneously, we foresee significant strain on the parking availability, which could adversely impact emergency vehicle access to the building and complex in emergency situations. Use the change in occupancy from the business occupancy to an assembly occupancy. It will impact the code. So when the IEBC code will require it to meet different areas of the respective codes than it currently is. So it will impact the level of sprinklers and stuff because the previous space wasn't used as an event space. So they'll have to change the space a little bit, most likely to meet the code, not just in terms of our ordinance, but also the building code for safety reasons.
I have a question about the parking
Yeah, go ahead.
because you only did 175, which is right out their front door,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more parking. There's parking all around the other side. So
Correct.
I don't understand
Yeah.
why you're saying people can't park over there to walk to where they're getting to.
So they can. I just wanted to be
But the police
conservative.
department and the fire department are going by your numbers.
Correct. I told them the space that it was operating out of as well. So it wasn't just like, hey, these are just my numbers, the only numbers to go by.
They are your numbers that you put down 175, and that's what they're taking your numbers and saying, well, that's not going to be enough space for this operation over there and that operation. It should be the whole parking lot. That's what's there for
Right.
that facility.
Yeah. So I talked to the fire marshal about this. I apologize for the. not
I'm
having
just,
the clarity
I'm
and
just bringing
consistency,
up
But yeah,
what,
I-
what has been discussed here in prior. I mean, this is your first time, so.
Yeah.
But we know that there's a lot of parking,
correct.
but we're limiting what the parking is, which is right out front, their front door.
Yeah. I think the thing I just want to be most mindful is that there are other businesses. operating out of
Absolutely.
this
No,
as well.
I understand.
All right, so then Public Works did not have any comments, just stressed the same concerns as Fire Department. Building Commissioner did not have any comments. Parks and Recreation also pointed out that they don't need a tree preservation or landscape plan. And that was, and then further, staff and all departments will review all plans during the business license permit review process to verify compliance with municipal code and site-specific ordinance. So whenever they do apply for actual like occupancy, we'll go and do inspections and stuff, and that will be our chance to make sure that they're doing everything they need to in terms of the space. All right, so staff recommendation is that we recommend to approval of the request for conditional use permit as submitted with the following listed conditions. All provisions of the code shall apply except expressly modified in this ordinance. The approved use, there's no ordinance yet because it hasn't made the council. The approved use shall be a banquet facility. Hours of operation shall be limited to 4 p.m. to, that was supposed to be midnight, not 1 a.m. The maximum volume of sound will follow the ordinance as set forth above. The building needs to conform to all international building code for the assembly use before occupancy can be granted. The section 53.114C for commercial performance standards shall be followed, and the business owner shall be responsible for all pickup of litter and restaurant-related trash on the property. It's not supposed to say restaurant, sorry, and neighboring properties on a daily basis. The area immediately around the commercial business dumpsters shall at all times be free of trash, debris, and oil waste, with all trash and waste being placed inside the appropriate dumpsters and appropriate containers. The dimension requirements shall apply and shall apply to all uses. This conditional use permit shall be personal to the applicant and shall not run with the land. So action on this item will be done in one of the following forms of a motion to approve, a motion to approve with conditions, and a motion to deny. If the motion is denied, the Plan Commission shall find that the 5 factors for approval of the conditional use permit are met. So that's one of the 5 items. If you're going to deny, it has to meet one of those items. And the recommendation of the Plan Commission will be forwarded to the City Council. All right.
All right, so we'll fire some questions at you and we'll let the applicant speak after we've,
Go for it.
so.
I have a question.
I know-
Yes.
Turn on your mics. Everybody, yeah, turn on your mics if you're speaking.
If the applicant asked for hours from 12 to 12 and you've got it from 4 to 1.
Yeah, sorry. I mentioned that when I was reading it. It should be 12 to 12. I apologize for that.
And same thing on all the sound or noise hours would be 12 to 12 as well?
No,
Or-
so the noise is just the operation. So when they're within those windows, it should meet the decibel levels, which is 60 for during those times. It can't go past that. But then during those off window hours, it should not be greater than 55. So I make a motion to
Oh,
still
I'm sorry.
maintain those
Okay,
noise
All right.
levels.
understood.
I think I had 3 questions. While we're on the sound, 60 decibels, especially on the Big Bend side, it's probably beyond that anyway,
The Watson.
most of the day.
Watson.
Lots inside.
So, I mean, enforcement would just come down to matter complaints?
Yeah, realistically. We can
Listen, it's
always.
gonna come. So if you got an event space and everybody's having a great time, 60 decibels ain't much.
Yeah, and we can definitely raise that. I just went with the letter of the code. So
It would be indoors though. So it
He's
also would
subject
be
to
indoors. I don't-
Pardon me?
Most of that would be,
Well, we can ask the applicant.
that's true.
60
Never mind, keep
decibels
going.
ain't much. So when that's just a matter of enforcement of people complaining, and consistent complaints may result in action
correct.
from the police. So that'd be on the property owners, because on that rear side, I think that could be a challenge.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I just went with what was stated in the code to just as the most conservative. If we want to raise it to be higher, we can do so.
On the parking, I think, I agree with Steve's comment on one point. But on the other hand, I think I maybe don't agree that there's plenty there. I guess I'm curious. And it seems like with Hot Shots, and we know Hot Shots has had trouble.
Yeah.
So too many people, too much liquor, and not enough spaces doesn't seem like a good combination. And I'm not big in Hot Shots, but I've had plenty of margaritas there, fuzzies on top of that. So, I don't know, and maybe I put it before the board. Is it worth asking for that calculation for all three parcels? Because I'd be curious to see it done that way, because I do have some concerns that there may not be enough, and I do think not enough and I know it sounds glib, but I think that's a fair concern, that not enough parking, too many people, and too much liquor.
Was,
could
was,
become a bad
did you do a calculation of the retail spaces and commercial spaces that are in there and the available parking?
Correct. In terms of how many is required, I did not have the chance to do the calculation for how many is required for each of the individual businesses, and what's left over is what is actually available for that business based off of the parking spot, is what you're asking? Because each business has a required amount of parking spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not have a chance to do that, but I think that reinforces that it would be less than 175.
Between that Fuzzies, Hot Shots, and that's a Dobbs on the other side, right?
My
Like
concern
Walgreens.
though is if you have an event at 1 o'clock when all of those businesses are operating, that's a lot different than having an event that starts at 6 o'clock where those businesses are not going to be.
Yeah.
So it would be helpful to know what was already in there.
Yeah, I agree. To be completely honest, it's the time frame of this being my first time, and also the meeting being ahead of
Would,
normal.
I mean,
time, so-
I have no doubt that there are available parking spots, and I mean, it's a big
Correct.
parking.
Yeah.
And like I said, and maybe this is a conversation we will have with the petitioner of what she's proposing here. You
Yeah.
know, if it's going to be mainly evening events or afternoon events. So we'll ask that of them.
Perfect. Yeah. Because and that was part of also my thought with only sticking to the parcel, was because if each of the businesses are required to have so much parking, and I know it varies depending on the time frame, but 175 spots would be even more generous than what would probably be allowed if we were to take away the parking that's available to businesses required just by operating.
Because yeah, under your calculations, even at 225 and you know, you're only saying 85 spaces. So
Yeah.
They may be okay, but like I said, it's the overlap that
Yeah.
is the concern.
Yeah, correct.
So
I would have concerns about that, and I would like to see that calculation. Like I said, we can see what they say, but we keep an open mind, maybe we see that calculation and continue it. That we see that, but we can get there. I'll throw that out. Oh, my last question more on the, you mentioned some minor changes. I think you used the word minor. Maybe needed.
I didn't
guess
say they were
it
minor, but
depends
there
on
would be
who's-
changes that
what
potentially.
minor means to different people. If you're adding bathrooms and sprinklers,
Yeah.
just seems like it could be significant,
Yeah.
6 figures a couple times. So how would that go? I'd assume they need some sort of plan through the council. What would be the steps to make those changes after this?
Yeah.
And
So
would we be involved in any of those changes? That's
Yeah,
all
so-
gonna go through staff,
yeah, correct.
review
Sorry.
boards.
So yeah, I don't believe that they would be minor, because putting in a sprinkler system doesn't strike me as a minor thing. It'd be a very costly thing for an individual to bear. It is being brought up at this point as this is just a moment for it to be considered. That wouldn't be determined what she actually needs to do until an occupancy inspection happens. And then the building inspector would go out, he would look at it, and that would start after she applies and has gone through city council. So it wouldn't come back to us. So she would go and apply for it. They would go do the inspections before they grant her occupancy. They would say, hey, you need to make these changes. She would have to make them, and then after she made them, they would grant her occupancy. But it could be quite costly depending on what changes need to be done. And so I think that's what the fire department
Approve
was.
this, but then she goes get the occupancy,
Correct, yeah.
and that guy lays out the laundry list.
Exactly, yeah.
She's like, what did I get into? And walks away.
She can't submit for a building permit without the approval of the change.
Correct.
She
Yep.
can't get the occupancy inspection.
But that building permit's outside of the purview.
Yeah.
Will not
Yeah.
be counts.
But it could be costly, which is why it's being brought up now.
That's what I thought. I appreciate the explanation.
All right, other comments? Questions?
My question is if you know if a kitchen is planned for the space, and if it is that covered under the banquet for the CUP?
Yeah, so she is not planning on changing, as far as I know, she is not planning on changing the space. So I don't think a kitchen is planned for the space currently, but she would be able to touch on that a little bit more now, I guess.
Thank you.
No, my only other comment was as far as, if it's an assembly use, she's got 5,000 square feet, the occupancy would be up to 340 people. So unless there was some other like, is the occupancy that we approve the max allowed?
No, so the occupancy isn't going to be determined by us. It's going to be
Okay.
determined during the inspection.
Right, so my point is the code, there could be up to 340 people inside, which would mean more spaces than what is being talked about here.
Correct, yeah. So her actual parking is going to be determined by her occupancy load, which hasn't, we won't know until they do the inspection for occupancy. These are just the approximate amount based off the number that she expects to be able to serve out of that space. But the way they do occupancy is it's based off of each individual room and the calculations that go into it per IBC code.
For reference.
$15.
Yeah, well, yeah, for
square
reference,
feet.
when we did Olive and Oak and they did their, they have a CUP for their banquet facility or whatever. And we did not give them a specific number with theirs either. So it was, determined by the occupancy.
My point is, up to the building code, it could be this many,
That's very true.
which is more than 85.
So staff recommends approval despite seemingly significant concerns from police and fire. Would you care to comment
Yeah,
on
I
that?
think the biggest concern, if their two biggest concerns are volume, noise, and parking. I think that as long as they're willing to commit to the volume of noise as set forth in the code, then that just leaves parking. I do think that based off of the conversation and just event space in general, if they're operating late in the evening, most of the businesses will be closed and parking shouldn't be too much of an issue. But I definitely understand that consideration, which is why it's up to you guys to actually make that decision.
And regarding traffic, it's probably a question for Peter, who's not here, but as far as impacting traffic, do we have purview over state roads,
We do
Watson
not.
and Laclede in our
No.
considerations, or just city streets?
As far as I know, it's only city streets, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's state.
Say streets.
Right by, so I used to live right by there. Coming out of Fuzzy Tacos, that leads right into a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Can we block off that area, that road, so that who's coming out of this event center doesn't go straight into the neighborhood, but instead goes straight onto Watson Road? 'Cause we can't do that. They had it in the past. That's what they're gonna be doing.
I am not sure for the process around that.
Okay, would that be Public Works? Would that be planning? Like, could we?
I would
add that
imagine a
into
certain
our-
level would be Public Works just because of their purview as a public street.
Yeah.
And
Please, you have a chance.
sorry. Yeah, so it would involve Public Works definitely, but just to be completely honest, I'm not entirely sure at this point
Okay,
about the process for getting roads blocked. I do know that whenever like a special event happens, they apply for a permit, and then that usually they can work with the police department and Parks Department to get roads blocked. But in terms of a normal operation, I'm not entirely sure.
okay.
I just haven't been with the city long enough.
Okay, anything else for staff? Would the applicant care to speak? Yeah, come on up. Yeah, please. And make sure she's got a microphone. There's another one.
This one
other
says
ones there.
podium.
Good evening. I noticed that a lot of the questions were regarding the parking, the noise. Right outside of the space that I'm leasing, there is a lot of parking. The lot is pretty big. I do understand that there are other businesses that I'm connected to, but I don't think there is really an issue with parking. Most of the time when I'm there during the day, the businesses may have 1 or 2 people at a time. They're pretty small businesses. The Papa John's, they are not eat-in, they're carry-out and delivery. So there's not, a lot of people going in to sit down for dinner. As well as there's a smoke shop right next to me. So to me, it kind of looks like a convenience store. They don't have a lot of traffic in and out. And the only other busy thing I believe close to my location is the Wingstop. I've noticed like maybe around lunchtime, they get a lot of DoorDash, Uber Eats, people going in and out, but I don't see a lot of people dining in there as well. They do have dine-in, but I don't see a lot of people there. So as far as where I am, I don't think parking would be an issue. Any events that I have during the week would probably be something like a repast. That doesn't have a lot of people, and it will probably be around late afternoon. So I don't think that's an issue. As far as weddings and party showers, things like that are mostly on the weekends. I am not having a kitchen put in, so there will be no on-site cooking. I have added a kitchenette that just includes a sink, a refrigerator, and a microwave, and a counter space. I'm not applying for a liquor license, so that should not be an issue. I know with weddings and receptions, people have alcohol, but I'm not applying for a liquor license for that space. So I'll have to find out, how else they tend to have alcohol on the premises, but I'm not applying for a liquor license. I'm not into that. As far as sound goes, I believe on the inside, I don't see it being a big issue. I do notice there's a resident right behind me. I do have 2 big doors. They seem pretty heavy, but I haven't had a party or anything yet, so I don't know if the sound will be an issue, but I don't see it being an issue. As far as time, I know Hot Shots, I believe is open till 1:30 a.m. on the weekends. I plan to be out and off the lot by midnight. And again, that's not 7 days a week. That'll probably be on a Friday or Saturday. The other days, events just don't really happen. Sunday through Thursday. Sundays will probably be something small like a shower or something. And as far as seating inside the place, I do believe seating maybe like 225-ish.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Depending on the layout, round tables or rectangle tables and that kind of thing. Standing, I believe it seats a lot of people. But inside this space, there are 3 offices. So I don't attend, I know that's included in the 5,100 square feet, but that's not gonna be where people are gonna be. They're gonna be in the open space, which I'm sure, that's gonna take away from the 5,108. It has 2 restrooms, and the kitchenette that I applied is just like in a little corner. The rest is pretty much storage. So even though it's 5,000 square feet, I'm not gonna be using all of that for events. That's pretty much all I have.
I'll ask the question, show my ignorance. I've heard the word repass, but I'm not sure exactly what that means in this
A
context.
repast, I'm sorry. A repast is a gathering of people after a funeral service. The family gets together
Okay.
to have a meal or to fellowship, congregate. Instead of going to their home, they rent space.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very good.
totally makes.
So, and it sounds like you will, family, who's ever renting the space could have catering brought in. I mean, catering would bring food and potentially liquor. You're just not providing the liquor.
I'm not providing either the food or any alcohol because I won't have a liquor license.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But users could bring those, would be expected to bring those.
Yeah, so anything related to alcohol, you either have to apply for a liquor license, which then says that you can sell alcohol, or you have to apply for an event permit, which will allow you to serve alcohol.
To Jeff's question, could, even without the liquor license, could somebody bring it in?
No.
I mean, they're not supposed to. I mean, there's not gonna be there anyone to stop them unless they do something that. they're not
Without
supposed
the
to.
event permit?
Correct, yeah.
There's no outdoor area or anything like that. There's, okay.
Out the door is parking lot.
And-
There's no place to
sorry.
linger.
No.
And you're okay with the 12 to 12 if, you know, with 2 to 12? I mean, is 12 to 12 the hours that you need or want?
I requested the 12 to 12 just in case someone wants to have an early day
Mhm.
shower or if there is like a repast or something like that. Yeah, a lot of times that doesn't happen in the evening.
Okay.
So I want to start earlier.
Okay.
I was going the other way. I think you should have gone from 10 because of that. Because the funeral's in the
Yeah,
morning and then
earlier.
they would come.
That's usually.
But you know your business, so.
Usually lunch.
Did you have a question, Michael?
So I guess I hadn't thought of the liquor license. I assumed that once they said wedding receptions and me being a Catholic, I figured there'd be fist fights and kegs all over the place. The zoning would still allow the liquor license if you were to decide to pursue that later, and that wouldn't come back here. That would be.
No, it would go through the city clerk's office that handles liquor licenses.
the city clerks. And there's only so many liquor licenses in the city, like 6 or so.
I don't know that off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
So she could potentially apply for a liquor license and that wouldn't be
Are you
addressed.
thinking
in
of
that.
drinking establishments?
What's that?
She said you're thinking of drinking establishments. So liquor licenses if you're going to sell alcohol. Like a bar. Yeah.
Drinking
I'm sorry,
establishment,
is that
drinking
correct, Councilwoman
That's great.
Clapper?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, you got it.
So people can bring alcohol.
We don't know that yet. You'd have
Oh.
to get a license to be able
I have to get a license
correct.
to sell alcohol.
And
She's
It's
not gonna.
for
Rent it out.
drinking.
Caterer would probably have.
right, the
so-
caterer,
right, so
there
there can
can't
be liquor
be
there.
alcohol.
She's not gonna.
She's not selling it herself. Right.
With no
Most-
open bar, it's not Catholic weddings.
Most catering license allows the caterer to have alcohol.
Right.
But it wouldn't be on me.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right, public comment. Okay, I think I know who would like to speak on the petition, on this petition in the audience. Do I, speaker cards?
Yes. Oh, I guess I turned it off. I'm sorry
one
about
down.
that.
Joel, I'll take.
Oh,
pass one down.
perfect.
Yep. All right, Colleen Duchild, you're up first. Yeah, please come up. Yep, name and address. I've got your address here, but go ahead and state
I'm
it.
all for her banquet thing. I think sounds wonderful. I do not like having that side that Annie brought up. We've been fighting this. We've been talking to the mayor. She said she didn't know who to contact to get this rectified, but it's an overflow. We have a cut through that goes through our neighborhood. With that many more people coming through, not going to be good because they're going to end up, if they don't have a parking spot, because there's takeout restaurants and such. So they have to pull up, get their takeout, take it to some place. So there's always constant moving. There's not going to be parking. So people are going to go into our neighborhood and park. Not good. You guys are pushing the safe streets. We're not happy. So that's why we're here. Good luck with your business, but the parking situation's not a good one.
Okay, thank you. And Molly. Yeah, go ahead and give your address as well. I don't know if.
My address?
Name and address, yeah.
Oh, Molly
Yeah.
Thomas, 345 Cannonberry.
Thank you.
So again, our concern is the overflow parking, and especially with all those people, even though there's all the parking over by Hot Shots, the closest parking is going to be going right through that overflow. The parking lot at Yorkshire just opens up into our neighborhood. They're just going to slip right through there and park in front of all of our houses. And, the cars may sit there for 12 hours. Somebody may go home with somebody else and the car could sit there for a day. You know what I mean? If somebody's had too much to drink. And we're just concerned about all that traffic when people leave. And if we don't have some sort of a barrier at that area where it flows into our neighborhood, people are going to use that as the cut through to get to Watson, when, it would be better for us if they could just use the entrance and exit right off Watson Road instead of cutting through our neighborhoods up until midnight. And you know how it is after you get home from a wedding reception. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood now, and we just don't want all that traffic and all that overflow parking. We're all in favor of, the events. We don't have any objections to that. We just care about the safety of our neighborhood and the safe streets.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant care to respond to any of that?
Just one quick word. I understand. Thank you for your opinion. Where I'm located, there is an entrance and an exit to Watson Road. So I don't understand why people would have to go to the overflow and through the neighborhood.
After the police actually, and the mayor have a camera watching this, and it happens all the time. And with more people, it's just easier to go down.
Okay, that's news to me. I'm not from Webster, so I don't know the area, that well. But it just seems to me that people can either go out straight to Watson or go around the other side to hit the streets on the Laclede Station side from where Hot Shots is. There's an entrance and an exit there. And then there's one coming close to the CVS. And then there's one a couple doors down from me, more close to the Wingstop. So I don't understand why people would have to. I hope that's not an issue, but I don't.
No entering and exiting here.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. All right, we'll discuss. Thank you. Okay, anything else on that item? All right. Next item.
Item, plats and site plans, 25 PC 01, 131-3-133-15 Euclid Avenue, Euclid Elms, Onder Properties. An application by Robert Keeney for an application for subdivision to adjust the boundaries of the above addressed plats and a special procedure development.
So first I want to, and I know I've done this enough tonight. I'm going to apologize. This is actually not meant to be a public hearing item. It's just meant to vote. It will go to city
Oh, you're
council, but it doesn't need to be a public hearing.
No, it's a plats and site plan. It's not a public.
It's not a public hearing. It's-
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure it was
Yeah,
clear.
that's
Okay, good.
We're reading the next item.
Okay,
on the agenda.
perfect, perfect. I just want to make sure that it was clear that it wasn't a public hearing. Okay, so Robert Keeney has submitted a request for final subdivision plat of the following addresses: 15 Euclid Ave, 23 Euclid Ave, 131 Euclid Ave, and 133 Euclid Avenue. The subject properties encompass approximately 1.09 acres and are zoned A4, 7,500 square foot resident district with a planned environmental unit procedure. The final subdivision plat proposes to construct 6 new lots for later construction, 6 family detached dwelling units within the PEU on the subject lots. The City Plan Commission is requested to review and approve the final subdivision plat per section 53.020. Before an application for a subdivision plat may be approved, it must first be submitted as a preliminary plat that must be approved by the department and submitted to the Plan Commission for review, thereafter submitted as a final plat for approval by the department and the City Council. I do want to note for Annie, Councilwoman Tierney, that I just didn't have enough copies, so you're gonna have to
Oh,
share.
no, it's fine. It was just funny watching him opening it.
Okay.
Like, it was like
Yeah.
really exciting.
Good too. So the requested action, the City Plan Commission is requested to, oh, sorry, I read that part. Land use and zoning history of the subject site. The parcels at 1523 and 131 Euclid Ave have been zoned as a single-family residence since the city's earliest zoning map in 1923. The westernmost parcel at 133 Euclid Ave was not incorporated within the city limits of Wester Groves until 1960 as part of the annexation of 69 acres of formerly unincorporated areas of Webster Heights. When annexed, 133 Euclid and much of the surrounding annexed neighborhood were zoned as single-family residential with small neighborhood services, businesses, and a limited number of 2-family dwellings and attached single-family dwellings scattered throughout. The subject properties are currently located with a A4 residential district. Is there something you guys? All right. I just want to make sure there's no confusion so far.
No, yeah, we're
Good.
just talking about the.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, according to St. Louis County records, the homes on the subject properties were built at the beginning of the 20th century. 15 Euclid, 1950, 23 Euclid Ave, 1902, and 133 Euclid Ave, 1925. In reviewing the plats from the 1890s through 1920, the lot at 131 Euclid was intended to be the right-of-way for a continuation of Bell Avenue connecting south to Euclid. According to historic satellite aerial images provided by St. Louis County, it does not appear that parcel at 131 Euclid was ever developed with a modern primary structure and remains vacant land today. Per the Webster Groves Historic Society, the existing home at 131 Euclid Ave served as a small family-owned neighborhood grocer from the 1920s to the 1960s with Trappel family. The Trappel family lived in the back and ran the store out of the front of the home. The applicant acquired the subject properties in recent years: 15 Euclid in 2018, 23 Euclid in 2017, 131 Euclid in 2019, 133 Euclid in 2019. In June of 2020, the applicant received approval from the Historic Preservation Commission to submit a demolition permit application to demolish the home at 133 Euclid Ave. Through the demolition has only now been approved by ARB in the summer, Architecture Review Board in the summer of 2020, but have not yet moved forward with the applicant, continue to review available options for the site. In March of 2021, the boundary line between the lots at 131 Euclid and 23 Euclid was adjusted through a formal boundary adjustment plat in order to establish a larger buildable lot for a prospective new single-family dwelling at 131 Euclid. All 3 primary structures at the subject properties were demolished in March of 2022. On June 21st, 2022, the planned environmental unit procedure was approved via ordinance 9186. On June 5th, 2023, the final development plan was approved. So the kind of big things to point out there is that this is actually the third time in front of the Plan Commission. 2 years ago, they were approved with the demolition and the planned environmental unit. And then last year, they got their final development plan approved. And so this year, they're submitting the final plat. All right, to the north, south, east, and west, the properties are all zoned A4. Staff analysis. As the next steps towards developing the planned unit, the plat needs to be approved and then recommended to City Council for final approval. As stated, the prior approval, final development plan, the owner seeks to subdivide the lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Cynthia Marshall's addition to Webster Grove's boundary adjustment and the tracts of land between lots 19 and 20. There are currently 4 different addresses at this location: 15 Euclid Ave, 23 Euclid Ave, 131 Euclid Ave, and 133 Euclid Avenue. The new lots will be subdivided into 6 lots and a common space in the back. Well, I guess the back depends on which direction you're looking at it. Plat review and approval procedures are contained in the Chapter 50 of the City Code regulating subdivision of land. Each lot in a proposed subdivision must meet the minimum width and area requirements of the applicable zoning district, which the subdivision is located within Chapter 53 of the City Zoning Code. Every legal lot in the Euclid Elm subdivision must meet the provisions of the Code of Webster Groves and Zoning District for A4, except as expressly modified in Ordinance Number 9186, which creates a planned environmental unit overlay. The subdivision meets all requirements of zoning code for the area setback for all 3 resulting lots. No variance is required. And then there were no comments. So the staff recommendation is the approval of the requested final subdivision plat. The action on this item will be one of the following forms: a motion to approve with conditions, or hold pending submittal of specific additional information or revisions. I've attached the preliminary plat, the Euclid development plan dated for 5/15/23 and ordinance 9186. Now, I also have the digital version. I can slide over to your screens if you are missing it or just like need to zoom into something. That's all I got.
All right, questions?
Had one, 2 specific, one's gonna be hard to ask, so I don't know if somebody could come on up. Clay?
I have a staff question while he's doing that.
Okay.
Are these flat minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. You said, are they flat? Oh, sweet.
Can you guys just try to use the mic?
Councilman,
Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, use the mic.
Yes. I'm sorry. So if you're looking at the east side of the property, the BMP reserve area is called out. And you notice there's several leaders coming off there. But the one going to the east line crosses the setback line. So I'm asking if it should actually stop at the setback line. And that's the tree area.
I believe it should. It doesn't go, the BMP does not go that far, so
It goes in a setback line. Okay. So I would need to be corrected, I guess.
yeah.
What is BMP? What is that?
Stormwater
Oh, okay.
control measures.
Yeah, for the common area.
I appreciate Mike's particular expertise in this area. But I don't know if that would that typically be our purview? I mean, a commission that didn't have a mic on it wouldn't know to comment on that. So is that something for other permitting folks to catch?
Yeah, so at this point, what we are supposed to be making sure is that because they have been approved for their plans already through the CUP that they already applied for the development plan they already applied for. So our purpose is just to make sure that this plat matches the previous one that was submitted. But
We've got 3 actions. 1, 2, 3.
yeah.
Yeah. Tony
three extra.
You, go ahead.
So,
If this is a preliminary plat, we just have to make sure that it meets the specifications set out in the ordinance.
correct.
That's what we do,
Yeah.
or that's what we're supposed to be reviewing here. It
Uh,
already came, it
okay.
came through
Well, I had
us,
similar
and the city
questions.
council approved the ordinance. And so when they come through with a final development plan and the plat, well, they've already come through with the final development plan, but this doesn't look anything like the final development plan.
I compared it to the final development plan, but I can pull both up.
The development plan?
No, that was what was submitted with the ordinance. That was an exhibit on the ordinance. So,
Then where's the?
that is a good question here. I got the plan right here. Let's see.
Why do you say it doesn't look anything like that?
Yeah.
That's the development plan when we saw the.
I understand, but you
Okay.
got 6 lots in the overall.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's,
it is,
yeah, that's what we're.
Okay.
That's
so
what we're
then, yeah.
considering. Thank you.
Okay, so now they're separate lots right now, correct?
Yes.
Which one is it? This one.
This is what they're.
So
This was.
these lots are, what I would consider a flag lot, and I didn't think those were allowed under our ordinance.
I think we already, when we changed the ordinance, didn't we already do this for, and we made it I'm probably using the wrong term, but the subdivision, so that those individual lots were no longer a consideration for the build. It was approved for up to 6 dwellings.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, Grace?
Yes, I don't have the old minutes pulled up, but I remember doing this package and those individual lots, I thought that we approved for a new ordinance. I thought it was the subdivision one. And as a part of that, it could hold up to 6 dwellings.
Right.
And so to me, this tracks with that.
But I'm saying the configuration of the lots.
Yeah, so when I was looking at this, I was comparing it to the setbacks and stuff that are required by the ordinance. In terms of the shapes of the buildings, it was my understanding that would come after they started building, not necessarily, because this is just how they are dividing up the land. But we can definitely put more consideration if I missed something.
It's
There's
just
a
a
chance.
question. You could be right. I'm asking for your interpretation.
Yeah. So I mean, my interpretation is that it matched what I was looking at, but I mean, I'm not infallible. So.
I'm saying it doesn't match. I'm saying just per our ordinance.
Yeah. So I mean, according to the ordinance that has already been submitted, or the ordinance that was created.
No, I mean our code, our.
Yeah. So our
zoning
municipal code, right? But then it has the planned environmental unit overlay on it with this new ordinance as well.
That
It's
allows
my
us
unders-
flexibility.
Yeah,
to
it's
vary
my
from-
understanding that the ordinance allows us flexibility, but I mean, there could be some
Okay,
part
alright.
that I'm missing. So.
If you win.
Yeah, I mean, if there is something I'm missing, I definitely want to make sure that it gets pointed out and we can. Put that.
What's that, Mike?
If without the flag lots, you'd have had to have the access easements. Is that what you were thinking?
That's what I thought, yeah. But,
That's what
but
you
my,
said
my,
to me.
I don't trust my memory fully either, but that was what I.
Some sort of access,
You know what these are? Those roads going to it?
because the driveway's showing.
So this road takes care of those,
Okay.
and this road takes care of those.
What we can definitely do is table this and then come back to it. I mean, it doesn't have to get voted on right now.
Should we ask them to come up here?
Then they had.
Are you creating roads? This is a lot. Okay. This is part of this lot.
Joel, does this come to council as well, or is it just decided here at Plan Commission?
So the final development plan, these final plat would just get voted on here and then wouldn't go back to city council.
Okay.
Yeah, because because they got approved by the development, with the final development plan in front of city council creating the ordinance, so.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was just gonna say if it was going to be going to council, that I know that there will be questions about the comparison of the
Yeah.
map in the ordinance and the final development plan in the packet,
Right.
but it's
Yeah,
not going back to
definitely.
council.
Make sure the conversation
So-
is
Here,
into the mic.
here's also the final development plan.
Road to get to these,
This is common ground.
okay?
Back to the access back to here for maintenance, et cetera, but it will also driveway, allows driveway access. I can't remember.
So is it a road or is it a driveway?
It will allow a drive depending on which way the house faces, which way the drive.
Okay.
faces.
I did put the
I
larger,
bought this lot. How would I get there and how would the fire department get there?
Down a driveway here, that would be a shared drive between these two.
Okay.
Access this one.
So it's a driveway and not a road. So are these what they would call a flag lot then?
They are, there's a couple of reasons for it. This is be a common maintenance type of development.
Okay,
Like a HOA kind of thing?
But because the utilities are in the street, the utilities require frontage on the utility to get to it, to serve it.
right.
So without having to put a whole bunch of different mains in, we can extend each one of these touching the street, we can extend out to the street with the separate utility. It's a
But this, the ownership of this lot is this one right here.
ownership of that lot is that.
Right. And this is where their access is from the frontage of the street.
Not necessarily.
And the
No,
side.
actually, those all have side entries.
So they're going onto their lot to get into this lot?
Mhm.
It's common.
They have
It's
a
common
shared-
driveway.
These are gonna be common, these will have common easement on, common maintenance on the driveways, and they'll be able to access
But it's the property of this lot.
this. But they have.
So what if
frontage
this?
on the
what
street.
if
Treated
they-
like an
what if- but What
easement?
if these people say, no, you can't have a site?
oh, I'm
entry
sorry,
garage?
Councilwoman.
Yeah.
It's in the overall development, like I said, it's a common maintenance.
But this lot is set out in that dimension.
There's
And-
crossing. Site plan screen, they've got pulled up, there's walkways on those, we'll call them flagpoles. Then the driveways are all the cross access. So those are the, we have driveways.
But the plats in the lots, if you buy the lot, if you buy lot number 4, if you didn't like your neighbor, you could say, no, you can't, because what you're saying, there's
I'm saying
a
you
common,
can't say that.
You can't, right.
Correct.
Yeah.
because.
Because you've signed an agreement and you've got it in your closing papers that says you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't
yeah,
do
my
what?
drive, I mean,
Not
my
like-
driveway's on my neighbor's.
You
property.
have, you
Yeah.
have to
Right.
allow
That's what.
access.
Well, okay, but so it's an agreed, it
So
goes,
cleaner.
it can't be
And
revoked.
the fire department had looked at this already and everything.
Okay.
Up on the street.
So. With the flag lot. Yeah, I understand the
Can you guys speak into the mics, please?
driveway.
Turn your mic on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But the flag lots, did you just say that's related to the fire department? They want the access on the lot too?
The fire department did the project, said that everything would, they could fight everything from the streets. So they connect the hose to the streets and the properties that.
Can the applicant please use the mic?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I wasn't following your point about fire department. That's what I'm trying to clear. I heard you say something about fire department, not following.
The fire department had looked at the project and with this, as the back lots were able to be, if there was any issue, would be able to fight it from connecting to the street sewer or the street water for the fire hydrants.
So
So
run their hoses from there.
they had looked at it and
Yeah.
approved this.
So, I mean, you've got the driveways in without the flag lots to get to Tony's concern, if I'm following. But the flag lots are there by file advance and part to allow for access by public utilities.
So I'm sorry, say again. So what's on the screen, which you guys can't see without coming over, but so the driveways are really this and this,
Driveway and common ground.
right? Okay. So what is the need? And this is what you're talking about. I didn't follow. What is the need for the lot to be configured like this? What is that easement for if this person can access?
Have to have you touching the Euclid right of way to get my utilities up.
Okay, so it's purely for utility.
Mike
Okay.
knows well, if MSD, if I gotta get to the MSD sewer and the street
Okay.
right away, I have to have property.
All right. So this, okay, so it's not for resident access, it's for, Purely
It's
for-
purely street frontage for utility.
okay, thank you.
So you could extend public utilities up there and put them in easements.
All right, we've got a lot of side conversations going on here and I think it's been productive, but let's try to organize this a little bit. So questions for the applicant that haven't already been asked?
Now I want to look at this thing. Can I zoom in?
My other question was related to the outfall onto Bell Avenue for that BMP pipe runs up onto to that. So is the intent to just drain that onto the street pavement there?
Into an inlet right there down at Bell Avenue.
I'm sorry.
Into an inlet down there at Bell Avenue. We were, we've been through review at MSD and all that's left is payment of the connection fee and providing them a copy of the recorded plat.
Thank you. Hey,
Is there additional information that the commission would like to see?
I just missed the end of the side conversation about the flag lots. So did you guys determine that flag lots were present and were okay, or that's not the right term? I just missed that. I couldn't hear it.
Well, you're not wrong. So, I think we've determined that they are flag lots. The reason for those is, to allow for, public utility access, not resident access. And that usage would be, I guess, extended through covenants and that are carry with the lots in perpetuity. So I think the question now is.
So I do have a question then. Why
Okay.
are the lots being configured as such rather than using an easement and keeping the lots in a, I don't know if this is, if the way the flag lots are a violation of the building, the way our code, but I do tend to agree with Tony. We don't typically like to see that. So why not just use an easement?
So I will add that on the ordinance, it does list that they will have a shared driveway easement.
The reason is because, we need, it's a requirement for the utilities that are in the street to, have frontage on the street to access the service line from the house. So we would have to extend to those rear lots. We would have to extend a utility main if we did not have property frontage on Euclid. You know, it's a PEU and it's not a straight zoning or straight subdivision. So it would seem that the flag lots and the shared driveways meet the intent of the PEU. I don't really know the legality of it, but, you know, I don't think it sets a precedent for flag lots.
Yeah, to reaffirm that this has, their development plan has gone in front of council and plan commission, twice before. City council.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting it's not something that wouldn't be agreeable, but understanding the logic and, you know, what we had previously approved, and if it's in good faith with that is just, something I want to consider. Thank you. That addresses my question.
Thank you.
Everybody done?
Yeah, I mean, is there any, any additional we need from staff to make a determination? No. Do we, I mean, or council?
Yeah, I mean, because this could definitely be
Right. This is
table
just weird.
more put into it.
No?
A motion to adjourn the regular session.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? That was aye, Grace?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
We'll go into executive session and we're going to start with 24 PC 09.
You're voting to go into executive session, is that what you're
Well, we adjourned.
saying?
We're going into it.
Okay.
The first item on the
Yeah.
executive session is 24 PC 09, 8045 Watson Road, Yorkshire Properties.
Lost track of it. Okay. Discussion.
I had a thought of, I think Ann talked about cutting through that neighborhood. I know I've done that about 108 times.
Me
had
too. I
thought
do it all
about
the time.
that. I'm still not sure it's. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be more traffic than the street can handle or neighborhood. But I still have concerns on the parking. I guess, so I guess not having the liquor license there changes it a little bit for me, because I don't think it'll be. Yeah, you're talking repass going after church now. Not with liquor license, so that helps alleviate a lot of concerns, I think. I guess though the only worry is if she come back and does it later. But as it's presented, I think not having a liquor license, so alleviate some of my concerns. I hadn't thought about that while I was sitting here.
I guess.
Why would the liquor license matter?
Well, just related
that.
to the, just related to the noise for one thing, because I don't think them church ladies get as rowdy. But two, I don't think without the stuff, they wouldn't be staying as late, so I don't think the potential for that parking lot jamming up at the same time that the hot shots, which is what the police specifically mentioned in their report.
Mhm.
I think a lot of that goes away without the liquor license. If you're hot shots, you're up there later, drinking heavy, where this place, you're maybe not as late and you're not drinking as heavy. So I think the drinking and staying late kind of go together. The drinking, the noise and the staying late all kind of go together. My experience.
I think we can reasonably assume that liquor will be served there in one capacity or another.
Mhm. The caterer can bring it.
One
There
way
will
or
still be
another,
alcohol.
it's going to be liquor there. Maybe not quite as often as if she had her own license, but it's going to.
No difference between, I guess my experience for bringing a big old open bar with lots of cakes, so anyway, that's just my take. That helps alleviate my concern.
I guess my question is that type of signage or that redirection of the traffic, is that the applicant's responsibility or is that Yorkshire Village's responsibility to put up signage or
Or the city.
barriers or,
There's another, I mean, there's another parcel, so I don't know who owns the end cap parcel.
Is it
Yeah.
a responsibility in that it's a public street that's platted as a public street? It can be
I
used.
mean, it can be used as a public.
oh, I'm
street.
not denying that, but I'm saying whose responsibility? Is it the applicants who, she's leasing a space, she doesn't own it?
I guess I'm asking why, I don't think it's anybody's responsibility. It's a public street. It gets used as a public street.
And Public Works
There's a
had no
public
comment.
traffic advisory. There's a commission for traffic, I believe.
There
Maybe
is.
they could take it through there. But it kind of sounds like this is already an issue. She wouldn't be creating the issue. She would be exacerbating an issue, potentially. So, I don't know if it should be a prime consideration.
It's, I guess unfortunate, but you live on a public street, you get public traffic. So I guess I'm sympathetic. I guess that's kind of my point is it's not really an issue in that it's.
Well,
you're living-
Grace has a
street.
point. If it became an issue, then that's an issue for the traffic advisory.
I would agree with that.
Is that what the traffic advisory would do? Is that what they? Okay, like that's their purview, that's what they do?
Yeah, if it ends up that it gets exacerbated and it's something to look at, then the police department or traffic advisory would take a look at it.
Okay.
But
So,
but it's-
yeah, those of you here for Telva, seem like a nice little coffee shop. It's down at the end of my street. It's done extremely well and we are in favor of that, but parking got so bad, couldn't get fire trucks down. We couldn't get down. So we went to traffic and got no parking on one side of the street and parking permits. So, and that has seemed to have helped.
Good.
So if there's a mechanism to rectify that, then I'm in favor of that. If there's not a mechanism, then I'm not going to put that on someone else that was put on my street.
Yeah, I would say that there's a mechanism same as there was for Talva and any other street in Webster. The only reason there wouldn't be is if that wasn't a Webster street.
Right.
Okay, so it'd be the traffic advisory commission. Okay.
In conjunction with the police department.
And so we will
But
go
to
through
your
the.
point, Jeff, we wrongly assessed that, obviously, right? Because you just mentioned that fire was impeded from their ability to get down the street. So I do think it's a good exercise for us to really seriously take on the concern and think about, is there a potential of so many businesses operating at the same time that it genuinely impedes traffic and becomes a safety issue? That is within our purview. And maybe we didn't do that sufficiently in the Telva situation, and they had to go to traffic advisory. So I also am not trying to write off the concern.
And to be clear,
How's
I
that for
voted in.
talking out both sides of my mouth?
I voted in favor for that, so I'm not pointing finger at anyone on this commission. But it was something that we maybe could have considered better. So I thank you, Gracie. I just, don't want to make that same mistake, or at least be aware that there can be a rectification in the short term.
And, you're looking, it's in a C commercial district. The other uses in that district are retail service. They're not Target or, these are small businesses also, so.
Your point being.
My point being that the traffic generation, I think, yes, there's going to be times when there's overlap, but there's no one business in there that's going to have loads of traffic.
Draw lots of traffic.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, let's go through the 5 factors. I think I would know these by heart by now. I know some of them. All right, do we have any concerns about increasing traffic hazards or congestion?
No, I don't.
No.
No,
Okay. Substantially increased fire hazards?
No.
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 No, I don't think so.
All right, Grace, I'll assume you'll chime in if you see fit. Adversely affect the character of the neighborhood,
No.
No.
adversely affect the general welfare of the community,
No,
and overtax public utilities.
No.
no.
All right, I will entertain a motion. We did have at least one change to staff recommendation based on the hours.
The
12 to 12.
hours, and I think the places where it said restaurants, to change those.
That is correct.
Watson, not Big Ben.
Yes, yep.
I don't think
That didn't make it
Watson's
onto
in
the
the recommendations.
recommendations.
Which one?
Just in the analysis.
That was the lighting and signing analysis. But it wasn't part of the recommendation. We could make it part of the recommendation.
What did you want to?
Yeah, it looks like it's just the change of the term from restaurant to banquet facility, and then also the hours changed from 12 to 12. The the address was in the staff analysis under lighting and signage.
Right.
We did have a lot of discussion about the number of parking spaces. It kind of sounds like everybody is okay with what's expected versus what's been allocated. But I also heard somebody suggest doing a combined analysis of all the businesses that share that lot. Is that something that we would want to consider as a condition?
What would the condition be?
I'm
Yeah.
comfortable as it.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. Yeah, it would just be that the number of spaces still meets the requirement when considering the adjacent businesses, since we didn't have that data. It sounds like that will be additional surplus rather than less spaces. So I'm personally fine with it, but I didn't know if I missed something. Kind of hard remotely.
Emily, is that something staff may, or council may want? Okay,
Yeah.
so might want to.
Yeah, I can definitely
Assuming we
include
have
that.
that.
Assuming we move
information
forward,
available.
it still would be good to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had made that comment or suggestion to be considered. Again, I don't know.
To do an
I
inventory.
get, kind of goes away because of the liquor license for me. I don't know if that's valid thinking or not. That's where I'm at. I just made the suggestion.
To do an inventory.
I would have the
But
count.
might be
And
prudent.
Yorkshire would probably be able to give you that.
Yeah.
You don't have
yeah.
to go count them.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you would think.
You mentioned counting the spaces like right in front of the parcel, but when I counted them, I got a totally different number. So I would, which means
Exactly.
I was probably counting, we probably.
Yeah,
counted
yeah,
apples
it's
and
okay.
oranges, right?
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
just show outline the spaces too, in addition to the.
Yeah, I can definitely go through and make sure that they have analysis done for how many businesses are there, what parking they have been given. I did actually reach out to the owner before this meeting to find out how many parking spaces were allocated, and they did not know.
Still waiting
So-
for that answer?
No, they just told me they didn't have it. But I can go through and with their business license and with occupancy inspections, ideally check.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say ideally because I did also try to check for occupancy for this prior one, but
Okay.
Okay.
they didn't mark that number. So
And did the applicant want to change the hours? Or was 12 PM to 12 AM the hours that you wanted? I know you talked about maybe just.
I
turning maybe
suggested it.
half.
You know,
Okay.
She asked for 12.
She's 12 to 12.
12 to 12 is good, okay.
But it's your business. You tell us what you want to put in there. Okay.
Just keep-
Okay, I mean, if you want us to change it to 10 AM, I don't think that affects our vote, and then it's not something you would have to change earlier if you wanted to offer, baby shower earlier or something.
That's right.
So
Or a little
that was your recommendation? Okay,
Mhm,
I thought it,
mhm,
okay,
just so she doesn't have to come back or I
Yeah.
don't know what the,
we could amend it 10 AM to
mhm.
12 PM.
I will entertain a motion
Motion to approve
with,
amendments on the time and to 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. and from restaurant to,
Banquet
I
facility.
think you can, banquet facility. The 2 lines on number 7.
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who said second. Was it? Give me a Hunt or Councilwoman Hunt.
all right. Been moved and seconded. We will just go directly to roll call.
All right. Sorry.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. Councilmember Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Tony Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Michael Bucher,
God, we got promoted.
Mike?
Yes.
Councilmember Grace Clapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddie Heikala,
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Hunkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Annie Tierney,
Yes.
and Councilmember Kyle Wilson.
Yes.
All right, the yeses have it.
All right. Motion approved.
Next item, 25 PCO 13123, 133, 15 Euclid Avenue, Euclid Elms under properties.
All right. This is plat approval. We don't have any factors.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded.
Sorry, good in there. Councilmember Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Tony Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Michael Bucher,
Yes.
Councilmember Grace Clapper,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddie Heikala,
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Hunkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Annie Tierney,
Yes.
Councilmember Kyle Wilson.
All right. Approved.
Number 3, fiscal year 25 annual report of the Webster Groves Plan Commission.
It's always fun to be the last item on a long agenda. Last year was the first year that the mayor and council asked for a kind of plan for the upcoming fiscal year from all the boards and commissions. I think that for Plan Commission, if I remember correctly, I think that Director Perry probably prepared it. And then Tony, I think you spoke at the actual presentation. So they're starting a little bit earlier this year. The idea is to have all the plans submitted by March 15th, which is coming up soon when we only meet once a month. So I don't know, Chairman, how you want to coordinate that, but we've got last year's plan and this year's template, and we can go through the elements, or you can do a subcommittee or whatever you would like to do.
I will also add that the sections in green for the one I gave you
Yeah.
are the write-ups that I put in using the template. So that it's a mock language. We don't have to take it, but I tried to transcribe it as much as I could to make it a little bit easier.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, I took a little bit of a stab over the weekend as well. I am happy to entertain a subcommittee if others want to be involved. Otherwise, I can finish drafting with Joel and we can bring it before the council next
Thank you.
month.
Sorry.
I don't know if it'll be we got 2 next week.
Next week.
Yeah, I will not be here next week.
Oh,
Do we have a month?
March 15th is when it's asked for back, so you'll meet again.
March
You'll have
3rd.
your March meeting.
Do we have a March meeting? Do we have
Yeah.
something for that?
Well, this,
Yeah.
I guess, would be on there.
Okay. then
So, yeah.
Is that amenable?
third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's well,
Thank you.
yeah.
The only thing that I
Reminder.
would just mention is that I know that council came back after and asked to add in for the year, as staff time allows, for the year that we're in right now, looking at ADUs, accessory dwelling units, and also the occupancy permitting requirements. So I would include those in your report. I know staff time hasn't allowed, nor is a plan commission time, so it's fine that there's no progress on that yet, but I would speak to it for future plans.
Accessory
Yeah,
dwelling
I
unit.
believe that's related to the strategic planning part at all, do you know?
In the,
Okay.
in the strategic planning part, is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay, I didn't know if the accessory, because I have to find more information to kind of just, I don't know, I just started, so I'm still like figuring out exactly what the request was in terms of the
It was
occupancy. and
Like the actual request was
accessory.
pretty minimal and I relayed it in an email I think I forwarded your
Yeah, I
way,
did
and
see
it
that
just
email.
says to look at ADUs and occupancy permits as time allows.
Okay, so it just was just wanting to know the number that have come in front of the commission or?
No, the idea of opening up so that to allowing more accessory dwelling units.
Oh, in terms of the revising the
Like, do we
code.
get rid of occupancy permitting, those type, like, do we
Increasing square
change?
Footage,
Are we
massing,
talking about changing?
site
Yeah.
cover.
Or are they talking about code amendments?
Exploring that, I think ideas like
Yeah.
that, what plan commission's recommendation might be.
Currently ADUs are really limited. I think you can have an ADU only if it's like it's very old. Like this is not exactly right, but it's basically worded as if it's staffed for the
Mhm.
property.
Like a family member.
Which
Yeah, I had an
Yes,
ADU with a nanny.
you could not rent it out. Yeah.
Well, I was in a meeting when we were talking with the consultants about, they're doing their job and
Lakota group for the.
right, the
yeah.
conference, the comp plan and all that.
Yeah.
And then, because after the comp plan is done, essentially you're going to want to rewrite the code. So are we
Maybe
thinking
that's what
about
you
doing that before?
Maybe you
we
say we're
comp
gonna
plans?
table it until after the comp plan is out and then work on action
That would
items.
make sense. Otherwise
Yeah.
you're,
I would write
Yeah.
it however you as a commission, I would just speak to those two topics, but you don't necessarily have to do them before the comp plan is ready,
okay.
anything like that.
I mean, to spend time and effort on amendments that may or may not apply to the.
Yeah, I
comp
would
plan.
spend that time and effort after reading it more
Yeah,
probably.
that
I
would
mean,
be,
yeah, on the flip side, I'd argue that like moving forward on ADUs could really do stuff for other people who would appreciate ADUs without waiting for the comprehensive plan.
but it's,
It should,
it's almost.
well, we're getting a big report on it on Monday here.
Okay,
So that's time, after that, maybe you decide how you want to word it in the FY 25 plan, because you'll have had that, or FY 26 plan, because you'll have had that,
Yeah.
that meeting.
I mean, we
It
could simply
definitely
say
needs
that
to
we're
be
going to do
done.
an analysis to see how it fits into the new comprehensive plan.
when is, well, I mean, what are the last final dates of the comprehensive, like when is the actual plan
I-
finalized?
Do not have the timeline
See, that's what, yeah,
in my brain.
I mean, that's,
We'll
2
probably
years
know.
before you ever get to ADU.
No, it's not that one. No, it's
Fall, like October,
at most.
maybe even before that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, it may-
just over a year.
Yeah.
I think,
originally.
Good question, but yeah.
I think the history of the whole, what was it, we approved and then got voted down because people. got
Duplexes.
Douglas Hill.
the
Duplex
multiple-
ordinance.
Yeah.
Also Douglas-
duplexes. In light of that history, I think Tony's point is well made and pointed. It might be good to get some of the comp plan done first, so we don't
Might be a good
waste a lot of time.
thing to bring up when they present on Monday, also to see, how those topics fit in with their recommendations.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be recommendations for all sorts of, attached units, all that kind of stuff that, usually in that process, the zoning ordinance is amended so that they fit together. So that's the process. I guess we are short-staffed.
Totally
Not that you
understand.
can't do it, but
Yeah,
I mean,
fine.
to make that kind of zoning, to make that analysis and all that, it takes a lot of time.
Mhm.
And it just makes sense to put it together as a package, I think, and do the whole thing rather than piecemeal it, which is what we've been doing for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say that I know that they are doing interviews right now for the director position. And so it also might just be something that at least wait until that position is filled, because then you could have a little bit more staffing behind it.
Well, and we'd have the report from the consultant.
Exactly, yeah.
Long-term future section too on the template, if I recall. So, you could put it, like, it's not going to be a this year thing because we need to get the comp plan and see what the plan is. But we know that council is interested in those things and we'll look at it as soon as we can, kind of thing. I'll let you, I think there are different places where you could list it, but I just would speak to it somewhere.
That's fine. I'll try to draft something you, as well. My concern, is stuff like that gets kind of tabled and then forgotten. So,
Mhm.
and I'm the biggest offender there. So
Yeah.
if someone here can remember that as we move ahead.
And then I also wanted to point out one other thing. The comp plan, Lakota Group is coming to present in front of the Plan Commission they're the only thing on the agenda for our February 3rd meeting.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
And so I know Jeff is not going to be there. I am going to still send out, actually tonight, once this meeting is over, I'll send out the agenda and then also the kind of information that Lakota Group sent me to be included into the packet. So their presentation and then like
Okay.
whatever other, they have like 3 other items that they wanted to put in their packet, but I'll send that out via email tonight.
And what is their action on that?
I think it's just a presentation. So I don't think there is any action. I think they're just wanting to kind of give you guys an update as to where things are.
They did a update for the ambassador group, and then I think the plan commission is another like really full update. And then I think city council is getting a briefer update on Tuesday. So I think they're just in that phase of kind of reporting back on where they are.
Okay.
So all well and good. I assume then that we can provide input at that point, except me that we won't be there.
Yeah.
But, okay. Okay.
Are we gonna do that in person or on Zoom?
Oh, the meeting? But we can do it on Zoom if you guys
Are
want
they
to.
coming to town?
Oh yeah, no, sorry, they're gonna be here. Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were just like, oh,
Be bad.
It's an option, but person.
yeah, we'll be in
traveling.
person. I'm sorry.
So
They're coming.
After.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah,
Good, okay.
definitely. I'll make sure they review.
no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that will not be then a public hearing, or will it be open to the public?
No, it's not a public hearing. It's just
Just a
them
public
coming to
meeting.
present. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll
meeting.
have the
I'm
screens
sorry.
working, so.
Yeah, I mean, we did do it. Believe it or not, we did do a test run. Karen and I. It did. I mean, when she was here, it worked perfectly. So, but no, we did do a test run. We with microphones. We turned on all the screens and stuff. So I'm sorry. I gave it a call.
All right. I said hearing, I meant meeting. Will it be open to the public?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it will be
Question.
open. It's
What
still a
was my
public
question?
meeting.
Not
Yeah,
that-
it's
yeah,
not a
that
public
we
hearing,
hold
but
it, but it will be open to the
Public
public.
meeting.
Okay. Secretary.
Oh, that's right.
Do we have anything else before that?
Yes, no, we do not.
Okay.
We lost our, Christopher Michael, has resigned, so we need nominations for secretary. Anybody want to volunteer?
What are the duties of the secretary?
I don't think
Everything that Tony did tonight
Yeah.
wonderfully.
Can you read?
You read,
You're
can you
hired.
read? Yeah.
Oh man, the guy's asking to volunteer.
We were gonna say Grace's because she's not here, but she's here.
Yeah.
I could nominate Kyle if it makes you feel better, Kyle. You don't have to volunteer.
Yeah.
I'll nominate you.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay,
I vote for
I vote for him.
All right.
I can do that.
I object.
All right. All right. Thank you, Grace, and thank you, Kyle.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
In
Second.
favor?
All right.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.